Hello, I'm Tiffany Cleverly. I am the new financial aid director here at the College of Eastern Idaho. I would like to give you some important information as well as answer any questions or issues you may have or have experience with students. So I will leave some time at the end for questions. Let's get started. What is your role as faculty or staff here at CEI in financial aid? Your role in financial aid is when you are advising students. Many situations and issues affect financial aid. What and how you advise them, the students, it matters. Courses taken must be in the student's current active program to be financial aid eligible. Students seeking a higher degree cannot take those courses until they are accepted into a program. The Bridge program may be a good example, or students who are moving on to an associate's degree while still seeking an advanced technical certificate. These courses for the associate's degree will not be covered with financial aid until they've been accepted into that degree. Student aid that has not dispersed prior to classes starting are required to provide verification of attendance. Students are required to attend class the first week to receive financial aid. This is also known as the attendance verification. Students adding or dropping classes can change their financial aid eligibility, as well as tuition costs, Pell Grant adjustments according to enrollment, and can cause aid to be paid back and frustration if it is a surprise to the student. Students are eligible for loan at 6 or more credits, and adjustments can change their billing, allowing balances and refunds. When referring to withdrawing from classes, I am referring to after the first week of class. Withdrawing from a class or some classes, but not all classes, will have an effect on financial aid. Will not have an effect on financial aid until the end of the term. What this means is the student may not have to repay their financial aid they receive as long as they still remain enrolled in at least one credit class. I say may because we have modular and late 8-week courses that have different impacts on student schedules, as well as financial aid. After grades are posted, students go through a satisfactory academic progress calculation upon the end of the term. We will come back to this policy. Students doing a total withdrawal from all classes could have a return of fund calculation on their financial aid they received. This process is done after the total withdrawal form is completed and the date of withdrawal is recorded. If the last date of attendance is recorded from the instructor, that is the date used in the return of fund calculation. This calculation is determined by the Department of Education, and we are required to follow it. The longer a student attends classes, the more aid they earn. After the 60% point in the term, the student has earned 100% of their aid. When students are advised from our financial aid office, we encourage them to continue in classes to midterms if possible, to see if they can complete the course with a passing grade or if withdrawing is the better option. Of course, there's always different scenarios and situations, and we advise accordingly. There is a last day to withdraw, which is always very close to the 60% point. Early and late 8-week courses, sometimes the students cannot get past the 60% point and still withdraw, as these dates can overlap. They can never earn 100% of aid and still withdraw if they're only in late 8-week courses. Students that complete a total withdrawal will be denied financial aid the next term. Financial aid pays for unlimited repeats of a failed course, as long as the student is still meeting all the other SAP requirements, satisfactory academic progress requirements. Once a student passes a course, they are only allowed to repeat the course one more time to have it count in their enrollment status and their financial aid eligibility, regardless if the student got financial aid or not. Students are calculated in the SAT calculation as well, even if they don't take financial aid. A satisfactory student academic progress will be reviewed at the end of each semester to determine if they are in compliance with the SAT policy. This review encompasses a student's entire academic record, regardless of whether the student applied for or received financial aid. Students must be accepted into an eligible CEI program. They must maintain at least a cumulative GPA of a 2.0. Workforce training and continuing education courses are not eligible for financial aid. In addition to maintaining academic standards, all students will be required to satisfactorily complete 67% of all credits listed on the transcript. Students must receive grades higher than a D+. That means if they receive an incomplete or a W, it is not passing. They do not count, but they do count. Incompletes and withdrawals do count and are included in the credit completion rate calculation for satisfactory progress. Students must progress through their program to ensure that they will graduate within the maximum time frame, or 150% of program credits. For example, an associate degree that requires 60 credits, the maximum time frame would be 90 credits. Once a student hits 90 credits, they would be denied financial aid. Students who receive federal financial aid but do not earn any credits for the term will be immediately suspended from receiving future financial aid. The first time a student is not meeting the academic GPA or the progress 67% requirement, the student will be placed on financial aid warning. Students in financial aid warning will still be eligible for financial aid for the following semester. Students must complete at least one credit to be placed on warning. Students will only receive one warning term. Students with extenuating circumstances that have prevented them from completing or passing a term that are suspended can appeal financial aid to be evaluated, or students can pay on their own until they are back into compliance. Why is taking attendance so important? Because financial aid must verify a student has attended all of their classes to receive financial aid. This pertains to students who have not had their financial aid dispersed prior to the first week of class. Students are required to complete an attendance verification. Many of you might be familiar with this form that you've had to sign. The attendance verification is to document the first week of class in order to have their financial aid released to them. I have already mentioned this several times, at least once before, because it is so important for our students. Online courses should have an assignment due the first day of class to account for attendance. Labs that start the second week should also have an assignment or an introduction due the first day of class to account for attendance as well. The last date of attendance should be recorded. This date helps financial aid calculate the return of Title IV funding. Title IV funding is financial aid and is essential to CEI students. We need you to track the last day. This date can be the last day a student attends class, or an assignment is turned in, or taken a test. It can be the last day the instructor had contact with the student in an academically related activity. This date helps financially determine how much aid the student may have to return, how much aid they are eligible for. For faculty and staff, what is the takeaway with all of this information? Financial aid is complicated, and we don't expect faculty or staff to remember all the rules and regulations of financial aid. But we do ask that you advise students to meet with the financial aid office before they make changes to adding, dropping classes, withdrawing from a course, doing a total withdrawal, or changing a major or program. which should not happen in the middle of a semester. The financial aid office can best advise students as to what will happen with their financial aid from changes that they plan to make, which will help with the student frustration and no surprises in billing or owing financial aid in the end. So what can you do? Again, advise students to speak with financial aid before they make class changes. Our financial aid office is located in Building 3, room 353, and our phone number is 535-5374. And don't forget, please remember to take attendance the first week of class. Record the last date of attendance. I know this was a quick presentation, but financial aid needs employees and faculty to remember where to send the student.